How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we've actually got an interesting video. So it's kind of automotive news, but at the same time it's we're going to be talking about basically a concept car, a car that doesn't necessarily exist but has been confirmed, and it will be coming in Nissan's lineup in the next few years, hopefully even sooner if we're lucky. And that car, of course, is the fabled R36 GTR. Now, I know I previously did a video, I believe like last fall, talking about the future of Nissan and potentially having an S16 Silvia, an R36 GTR, and a couple other concept cars that Nissan had on their website. Now, that video was I think either taken right after the Nissan Z Proto was revealed, but before the production version of the Nissan Z was revealed. And of course, when I say the Nissan Z, I really mean the 400Z. We all know the official name for it is the Z, but I like to refer to it as the 400Z, as so many other Z enthusiasts do. But with that being said, the last time I really talked about this R36 GTR was in that video, and it was before the very, very successful launch of this new Z. Now, I really do think Nissan should stick to a winning game plan. You know, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And when they eventually do reveal this R36 GTR, they should pretty much have that prototype, have that car 90-95% there already. And then once it hits the production version, it's pretty much like the same car, except they're tweaking a little bit here and there. So many enthusiasts, when the Mark V Supra was originally announced, I think back in either 2018 or 2019, they loved the concept. The concept looked like, I believe, the Toyota FT1 or FR1, correct me down in the comments if I'm wrong. But then when they came out with the actual Supra, so many people were so disappointed. There were so many fake vents, it didn't come in a manual, and a lot of people thought it was overpriced. And even I did a review on a 2021 Supra last year, and I really liked it when I was driving it, but I understand where a lot of the complaints are coming from. Now, first off, just looking at Google Images and looking at multiple different concept images of what people think that this R36 GTR is eventually going to look like, one thing that we can I guess really knock off is this. This is, it's cool and all and everything, but a mixture of an R35 and an R34, that's just not going to happen in my opinion. The Skyline is still a car that's being manufactured over in Japan. It's pretty much the Infiniti G35 and Infiniti G37 that we have here in the United States of America, but that same car is actually branded as the Skyline over in Japan. So if you haven't known, they pretty much still do, make Skylines, but they don't look like that anymore. They don't have that R34-esque, front nose, and they don't have this is definitely something that's far-fetched. Now, a more realistic concept of what this R36 GTR could look like is something like this, where it's pretty much the same silhouette of the R35, maybe a more aggressive nose, maybe a more aggressive rear end, and pretty much like a mix of the GTR 50, the 50th anniversary special edition GTR that I actually saw in person back in the 2019 New York Auto Show, and a mix of the regular R35 GTR. Now, a problem not necessarily with the design, but also with the powertrain, is that a lot of people, even though the current R35 GTR engine is such a proven, platform and, proven tunable platform, and honestly, the R35 GTRs, especially the newer ones, have no limit. You can just slap on a turbo kit, build up the internals, and you're making a ridiculous amount of power for a street car. I reviewed a 1300 brake horsepower E85 HKS 1000 turbo kit R35 GTR on my channel, and it was an absolute blast to drive. And what's crazy about those cars too, those high output R35 GTRs, is that they're surprisingly still very, very controllable, which is something that I learned when driving that car. When I went on, you know, full throttle pulls with it, it wasn't like a really, really hard to control vehicle. I mean, I've driven some really sketchy vehicles on the channel, and I wouldn't really consider that vehicle being sketchy despite the insane amount of power that it was making. So now what's great about that is the platform is so fantastic and the drivetrain is so fantastic, but what's also kind of bad about that, and it's pretty much been its curse because we haven't really seen any updated news with the drivetrain since, you know, 2009 when they started making these cars, is that Nissan hasn't really figured out a way to kind of one up this drivetrain. They did have a Le Mans car, which a lot of people, you know, disliked because of how terrible it was, where they kind of experimented it in a mild hybrid system. And it actually, looking at this next article too, the Nissan's CEO basically has pretty much said that they're making a new platform for the R36 GTR, and a lot of people think that that is going to be a mild hybrid powertrain, so something kind of similar to the newer gen Acura NSXs, where it's not a plug-in hybrid, but you do have either one or two additional electric motors that help an overall internal combustion engine powered drivetrain. Now, like I kind of previously stated, this GTR has pretty much been around since the 2009 model year, so pretty much like a couple of years, over a decade now. And I feel like, and a lot of other people definitely feel like, this R35 GTR, although it is a fantastic, fantastic vehicle, and I love it, and a lot of other people love it, a lot of people just feel like it's kind of overstated its welcome. You know, so many Nissan enthusiasts want something new, including myself. And although I hate to see the R35 GTR, you know, go and finish off, the final edition R35 has already been announced for November of 2022. So pretty much a year from now. And with that, I mean, a lot of people aren't going to want to see a huge gap in production for the GTRs. A lot of people are gonna want to see an R36 as soon as the R35 production ends. I know I do for sure. Now, although kind of the electrification of the Nissan GTR may be a very, very, you know, exciting concept for most people, one thing I kind of see wrong with it is it kind of being too similar to the Acura NSX. Now, the Acura NSX was a fantastic car. Another car that I actually did review, I think I reviewed a 2017 or 2018 Acura NSX. I don't know, but I'll leave the link on top of the video right now to that review. And it's an awesome, awesome car to drive, but I just feel like they were just so overpriced because of the amount of R&D that went into those cars. And now you have something like a Acura that's pretty much being priced the same as, you know, newer Lamborghinis, newer Ferraris even. And the people with that amount of money, you know, even though the NSX might provide a little bit better performance, they're not going to go ahead and spend their money on an Acura or a Honda. Instead, they'd rather get, you know, the Raging Bull that is Lamborghini or Ferrari, or just a more established brand in general. Now, I'm not saying Nissan isn't an established brand, but I definitely don't want this, you know, new R36 GTR exceeding like the $200,000 US mark or something crazy like that, because it's a mild hybrid supercar pretty much. So now, because of that, looking at this next article, which pretty much just suggests that the new R36 GTR may just entirely skip any electrification whatsoever and just keep the exact same drivetrain. Now, the problem with this, although it's a fantastic drivetrain, it's a very, very proven power plant, the problem with this is that so many people are going to criticize it for basically just being a reskinned R35 GTR. So you can kind of see where the problem with the R36 GTR is going to lie. It's either going to be, you know, so crazy and so different and so new that, you know, the price is definitely going to potentially exceed the value of the car, or Nissan is going to play it really conservative, stick to what already works, and then pretty much just have a reskinned R35 GTR. Now, personally, I don't really have a problem with that, but I know some people are going to kind of be sick and tired of it and want something new. I think the drivetrain is great how it is. I do think that, you know, potentially experimenting with some hybrid technology could be beneficial for Nissan in the future, especially as we move into a more hybrid and EV age when it comes to just manufacturers in general. But I still think that the, you know, old reliable R35 GTR powertrain definitely has a lot more life in it. And I mean, honestly, again, if it's not broke, don't fix it. That's kind of the attitude I would take to it, because if you have something that you're already, you know, producing and you basically just throw on either a new body, new style, or whatever, you could potentially still sell a lot of units while still, you know, ushering in that newer generation. I mean, just think of like the R32s, the R33s, and the R34s. Now, yes, when you take those 3 generations, there was some tweaks here and there to the different drivetrains. You had different models. You had the GTS-T, the GTS, the GTTs. But when you look at just the regular GTRs, all 3 of those generations of the GTRs had the RB26 in there from the factory. Again, they had different transmissions, I believe, as they got newer, but they pretty much all had the RB26s, and they all were fantastic and extremely iconic GTR generations. So that being said, I feel like the 3.8 liter twin turbo V6 could potentially be reused in this R36 GTR, but I just don't want them to go too crazy on the R&D with the electrification. If they can do it for cheap, that's fantastic, but if they're going to do it and the thing's going to cost just as much as a new, you know, Lamborghini Huracan, I just don't really see how that could potentially help Nissan in the coming future. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Also, let me know if you're excited to eventually see the R36 GTR and, of course, the final edition R35 GTR that is coming in this following year. Also, if you haven't subscribed already, definitely be sure to subscribe and like this video down below. It helps me out a lot as a smaller YouTuber. And like always, guys, thank you for all the support, and I'll see you guys in the next one.